Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go, man. Hunt the ball. Let's go, family on 3. 1, 2, 3, family.
Hello, football family. Welcome into Huddle It Up Films, NFL Draft Barbecue, Big Board Questions. Special day for me. You see the man next to me, Coach Evans, well known on YouTube, on Twitter. One of my favorites. Coach, I've been following you since before I started my stuff. So it's near and dear to my heart to have you on the program. How you doing? And if you could give a plug for your work, your channel at the beginning, I'd appreciate it, man.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm always excited about going to barbecues. I'm a big fella, so barbecue is one of the things we do well. And as far as my work, you can find me on Sip2Tally Films on YouTube, and you can also find me on Coach Evans 9 on Twitter. Very active on both of them. Get in the comment section a lot because I have a ton of free time since football is not going on right now. So I very interactive with my audience.
And all your links will be below for anybody that doesn't have access. I highly recommend watching Coach's breakdowns on YouTube. I do it too. Coach, I like to do my own analysis first. I don't know about you. And then go check out my brothers and sisters who do it on YouTube just to see what I'm missing and try to get, their opinion and be like, oh, yeah, you know what? Coach is right. He's showing examples. I missed that. So, but we have an important question, though, Coach. I've been asking everybody. You mentioned that you like barbecues. So tell me about a Coach Evans barbecue, whether you're going to the barbecue, whether you're hosting a barbecue, what's the vibe like? What are you cooking up? Are you doing any dancing? Are you cutting it up? Music. Let me know the Coach Evans philosophy here on the barbecue.
So if I'm hosting the barbecue, there's an assortment of food as far as meat wise, because my wife doesn't eat red meat. So there's regular burgers, there's ribs, there's if I know I'm hosting it, there may be a brisket in the smoker. There's turkey burgers, there's vegetables on the grills, and we at one time we had a crawfish boil here that went along with the barbecue. But being from Mississippi, we're kind of close to Louisiana, so we have that crawfish love, and I got to find me some this weekend or next. I saw some on Twitter, and I've been fiending to go back home and get some. But as far as music, it can be anything. It's an assortment of music for me. I don't really shy away from a lot of stuff other than blues. But the only way you get dancing out of me is if there's a lengthy barbecue and there's a lot of purple Kool-Aid.
Yeah, I was going to say you need a little drink in your hand. That sounds like me, Coach.
I gotta have the liquid courage to kind of let my hair down, so to speak.
Well said. And you know what? I'm keeping it cool on this program. I just got coffee, man. I just got coffee. No liquid courage because I'll be saying all kinds of crazy stuff if I get a couple of beers in. I don't drink anymore, Coach, because I'm on medication. But I do indulge a couple of times a year if I have a friend or something like that. And yeah, that when that feeling hits you, sir, I'm bound to say or do anything on the dance floor, embarrass myself. And nowadays, Coach, everybody's got the phone out, so you can't even act a fool. You can't even act a fool and get away with it no more.
That's one of the reasons I kind of stopped, and I stopped enjoying myself like I used to, because everybody wants to record and have a got you moment. So I just kind of be back, chill, and even I get in trouble with my wife sometimes about it. But I ain't finna be on let somebody record me and laugh at me, because I kind of take that kind of crazy.
I miss that time, Coach. And you know what? A lot of younger people I talk to, they're jealous of us. They're like, man, I wish I could, the concerts and everything else we went to, you could just lose yourself and just be anonymous. And so not to get old man on everybody here, but it's worth mentioning. So, Coach, you might have seen, just had Skeptic Goat got here at the barbecue, just got done talking to him. We've had Dev, Skeptic. He's awesome. We've had a bunch of people on here. What players are you looking at? Who you've been talking about with the ladies and the fellas here? Who jumps out at you on this board? Because, man, we're both really into players, so I can't wait to hear. Can't wait to get in.
So best case scenario for me is that there's a run on quarterbacks, which is probably number 2, and receivers, and Charles Cross falls to us. That's to me that's the best case scenario. But there's so many other possibilities that are gonna happen that you don't really know what's going on. But as far as best case scenario, I love Charles Cross. He's from Mississippi State, which is my home state. And a lot of people have questions about Cross because he played in that pass heavy offense. I really don't have those questions because before Leach got there, they were run heavy, and he was a part of both of them. So now he's just shown that he can pass block, and which for the Ravens, pass block is what we need in an O lineman because a lot of our O linemen, and we talk bad about O line a lot. They can run block. It's the pass blocking that kind of gets them in trouble. And so Cross is a proven pass blocker, and I think he fit in perfectly, whether it be playing right tackle in case Stanley's not healthy, or eventually competing for either one of those spots, down the line, because we just signed Moses. But that best case scenario for me would be for us to get Cross and kind of go from there. But I don't really know. And plan B for me is either Stingley or Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner was one of the first videos I did when draft season came up. And because everybody was saying, he didn't give up a touchdown and he did all these great things. And I'm not going to even lie. At the beginning, I was skeptical because he played in the AAC. So I'm like, well, he's not giving up touchdowns, but he's playing scrubs, so to speak. And so when the season was finally over with, and I sat down and really watched the Alabama game, or was it? I think it was Georgia, the Georgia game, and they didn't. Which one was it? Alabama or Georgia? I think it was Alabama, and they didn't really throw at him, and he kind of held his own versus those guys. So they didn't so we're gonna go at him and make him look bad or whatnot. He was in position if the ball had been thrown his way to either defend the ball or make plays, and that really stood out to me. So that kind of sold me on him. And as far as Stingley, the negatives are he didn't have a great sophomore, didn't have a great junior season, he been hurt. Stingley was on a team full of dogs in 2020, I think, the national championship year for LSU. So he was one of the top dogs on that team. So all those dogs left except him. So to me, the motivation, and they didn't have a great team coming back. He knew it. He was the best player on the team, and everybody left. And his motivation just, to me, wasn't there. And so you can kind of be out of sight, out of mind. And when it comes to Stingley, he didn't really have a good sophomore junior year. But then you go back and look at that tape, that practice tape versus J-Mar. See what J-Mar did in the season, how he destroyed NFL teams, including ours. And look at that tape, and Stingley had him in his back pocket. You don't forget, as you're older, you may lose a step or lose some strength and whatnot. Stingley was doing that at 18. He's just 21 now, so he ain't lost no speed or no technique or nothing. He's probably only gotten better and smarter.
Yes, and Coach, you can see how much I love all three of those guys. They're all in my dark green there as far as guys that I would even trade up for in the first round. If they're there, go ahead, in my opinion, move up a few spots because somebody's going to fall. You mentioned it. Yep. There's going to be a quarterback or two taken, maybe a wide receiver taken, that kind of thing. So somebody's going to slip. And I'll just give my thoughts real quick on all three of them. Stingley, I can't get out of my head what I saw from him as an 18, 19-year-old, whatever he was, on that national championship run. It's just rare. And, Jamar Chase basically mic dropped after that year and was like, I'm done, y'all. I'll see you in the draft because I know where I am. And to see somebody hang with Jamar Chase at 18 years old in practice, it's just that kind of talent don't go away. And I do kind of agree with you that it's maybe an interest thing, or maybe you get distracted when you're in a championship run. Your mentality is different. I don't care who you are. It's really hard to keep yourself disciplined. Stingley, I do worry a little bit about that Liz Frank, but I mean, that's why I have him at 10, at 10 on my board, just in case there's some. I think the guys ahead of him are a little bit safer. When it comes to Sauce Gardner, I was with you, Coach. I was very skeptical because another thing that makes me skeptical is when somebody has a nickname and then the general public seems to gravitate to that. We want Sauce. We want Sauce. We want Sauce. I'm like, wait a minute. The kid plays at Cincinnati. Are they just hyped up over his nickname and his image and all that? So I'm like, I'm gonna really focus in on this guy, and I guarantee I don't like him as much as the public. Well, I was wrong. It was the Alabama game for me. Coach, he's got both big man skills and little man skills at a corner that you don't usually see. So you're going to go up against your tall 6'3", 6'4" receivers. He's going to be able to high point them, and he's not giving up much. You go up against some of these quicker, we'll call them slot-like receivers, or just your good route runners. His hips, everything about him is very, very clean. Love Sauce Gardner. I'm less optimistic though on that than you, Coach, because I think he's got a better chance of going top 5 than he is top 10. And then on Charles Cross, he's by far one of my, I would say, like my personal favorites, because I've seen some people like Daniel Jeremiah and some other experts that have him in the 20s. And I would love to talk to them about what they saw, because the only negative I saw, and it wasn't even big negatives, Coach, when he played Sam Williams gave him some problems, but it wasn't like Sam Williams was dominating him. I look at Cross as the feet. You talk about the feet, Coach, as in the recovery skills, as good as you want to find coming out of the draft. I love Charles Cross. If he dropped into that 10 range, 11 range, I'm going to be on the show with you and Ken being like, we need to trade up and get this guy, because you don't worry about who else you have on the roster. Charles Cross is going to pay off for you in the 5 years that he's on the team.
And what I will say about that game versus any game that Mississippi State played this year, if you lined up against Cross, you kind of could go ahead and pin your ears back from the jump, because they really were not running the ball. I had a kid that played for me in high school that played for Mississippi State. Leach's first year, and he just shut it down after game 4. He was like, Coach, I don't know what he said personally, but you're not running the ball. I led the SEC in rushing last year, and you run the ball 4 or 5 times a game. He decided to stop playing and go ahead and get ready for the draft. So, when you play Mississippi State, you already know if they have 80 plays, 72 of them are passes. So you just pin your ears back and go get the quarterback. So
that makes it real tough on a lineman.
Mm-hmm. But we can kind of go down. Let's talk about your guys in the green.
All right, who you like, man? Who you like?
So I really like Akeem Ikwonu. He is not as refined technique wise, but he's a guy that I would like if somebody slapped my wife and I had to go kick some butt. He's the guy I called to take in the alley with me.
Yeah, number 1 pick.
He's the guy I called to hey, such and such happened. Please come help me with these guys. He's that guy. He finished so many people so nasty that, like, when I was watching the tape, I would cringe and be like, ooh, I'm like, yeah, that hurt. Put him on the pancake patrol. He's that nasty guy, and if he get a good O-line coach that can help him with his few technique issues, he can be a great O-lineman, because he got good feet too. I saw him out in space. He knows, like, if they run screens or something where he has to pull like a toss, he knows not to try to run out there and slow down and block the skill guy. He knows to just run straight through him. And if you don't get out the way, you're going to get flatlined. He's has great feet. I talk about Neal too. Neal probably is the best technical O-lineman in the draft. Like, his pass set's perfect. His hand placement's perfect. His feet are not as good as Akeem, but they're not bad. So I think he's the perfect. I think all 3 of those guys, when that's 3, I mean Cross, Akeem, and Neal, they're all very good, but also different. Like, I think Cross is your best pass blocker. I think Akeem is your best run blocker. I think Neal is a combination of both. So you can either rank them 1, 2, or 3 either way, and you couldn't be wrong.
I agree with you, Coach. And what sticks out to me with Neal is like the prototype of what you want. If you want to draw him up on the board and just safe, he's just safe. You pick Neal, he's going to be your left tackle, and he's going to play. I think that what I like about Ike Ekwonu a little better, why I have Ekwonu just 1 spot ahead of him on that line, is because I like Ekwonu's upside. I think that when you come to athleticism, and you talked about it, him out in space, like that jumped out at me big time, Coach. Like, when I first looked at him, I was given a hard look. What you do about these guys who don't look like Evan Neal looked like. I'm looking at Ekwonu, and I'm like, all right, is he going to be able to stick a tackle? Or is he going to be one of them guys that has to kick in the guard? Okay, I can see the quick feed. I think he's going to be okay at tackle. And then it went to, I don't even care if he can play tackle. Just get this guy on the team, because there's so many things he does well, and he does it with that attitude where he wants to finish you. He wants to take a soul out there. He's not just doing his job. He wants to impose his physical will on you. And that's why I have him number 1 on my board. I'm going to be talking to Ken coming up quick about how to rank these guys, Coach, because, you're factoring in need, you're factoring in upside and all that. But with those 10 guys, Coach, it's like a perfect storm for the Ravens, because I truly believe not only are they the top 10 talents on this draft, but everybody in there but Hamilton fits a need for us.
Yep. And had we not signed Williams, I think, is it Marcus Williams? Hamilton would be in that box had we not signed him. But talk about your edge guys, and I'll start with the guy you have first, Thibodeau. One more point about the O-line. I agree with you. Akeem has the highest ceiling because he still has some rawness about him. And I think Evan Neal is your right now guy. Definitely can get you that rookie contract. He'll definitely play even start all those 3 or 4 years, whatever, maybe 5 years, give me a first round pick. But
so you like the way I ordered I just wanted to ask, you like the way I ordered the top 3 tackles, like Aquanu, then Neal, and then Cross? Would that be your order of top, order of choice?
I can't get that away yet.
Okay.
I'm gonna get it away next week. But that's why I said they're all interchangeable. They all good, and I really like all 3 of them. So just know I will give it away that those are my top 3. I'm just not gonna say the order. They're definitely the top 3. Definitely.
So how about those edge rushers, man? Didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Oh, that's fine. Thibodeau, I think, and we still got a top 3 edge rushers too. You got Thibodeau, you got Walker, you got Hutchinson. Thibodeau, I think, has the highest ceiling. I love his hips. Like if he go to the Giants, Wink's gonna have a field day because not only can he get after the QB, he can drop and play them flats like he loves to make guys do. He won't just turn a guy loose and let it pass the rush. Rush the passer. He wants him, he want to do all these different disguises, and Thibodeau has hips like a DB. He is so freaking athletic. His upside is through the roof. And Hutchinson, like Evan Neal, if you need a guy to play right now, like tomorrow, that's Aiden Hutchinson. High motor, strong as head, technically sound. He's a little like a Bosa. I don't know, his name should be Aiden Bosa. That's what he looks like. He like you guys came out of college ready.
I throw in a junior because I see Hutchinson kind of like Neal, where you got this really high floor, but his ceiling might not be as high as he's. I don't think he's going to be a Bosa like presence or a Chase Young or any of those guys you've seen go 1 overall, 1 or 2 overall. So I like that comparison between Neal and Hutchinson with the just extremely high floor. You can't go wrong with those guys. But go ahead, Coach. Sorry to interrupt again. I'm going to be doing this all show.
No, that's back and forth. But I think they're safe picks. Those 2 guys. I think Neal is a safe pick. I think Hutchinson is a safe pick. And then Walker. That's the joker of the crew. Because he plays so many different spots that you can't just get a grasp on how good of an edge or end he is. But that one play versus Michigan always sticks out to me. I think they were running power, and the guard pulled around, or maybe it was the center, and Walker saw him at the last minute and almost snapped his neck back. That I haven't seen anything that violent in high school football, college football, or pro football since that Jadeveon Clowney hit. I haven't seen anything that violent in the 3 levels of football that I kind of associate myself with since Clowney. And for him to have explosion like that in his hips, that's dangerous. It's dangerous.
And not only that, Coach, he finished the play. Usually when you got a collision that violent, there's that minute or second of you just recovering from it. But the other guy looked like he got hit by Muhammad Ali, and Walker comes on his feet, picks up the ball, and what is it called? Not a horse collar. We just got the guy around the neck, shoulder pad area, just twisted him down. Basically, it was just an amazing athletic move for him to finish after a collision that violent. But Walker is a guy, Coach. I want to get your opinion on this. I think he's going to be a better pro than he was a college player because the traits are all there. And of course, at Georgia, everybody's looking at, well, who's helping who's singled up? Is Jordan Davis responsible for all these guys' success? But with all the other studs in that Georgia front, man, I think that Walker kind of gets lost in the shuffle. I think he's going to be a superstar at the next level and a guy that you can move around on that line, sub-rush inside. I mean, he's got the athletic ability where you can find somebody on that opposing offensive line and, for lack of a better word, sick Trayvon Walker on them. Say, just go get him, kid. and he is going to make life hell on that guy. And coach, here's my impression of offensive lineman the next day after facing Trayvon Walker. He's going to look something like this, because this is the position Trayvon puts you in all day. Like, I mean, you're going to be so yes. Like, and coach, with the direct, quick passing game nowadays, where you can't really burn the edge as well and get to the quarterback like you used to, somebody who can go right through you and use leverage to his advantage, I think is going to pay big dividends. So I love Walker.
As far as Walker, I think if he goes to a 3-4 team, so let's say he was on the Ravens, he could play that defensive end for us, and then when it's obvious passing downs, he could slide in. And if he went to a 3-4 team, he'd be the prototypical 3 technique. The prototypical 3 technique, and pass situations and rush situations. So he's a special talent, and I wouldn't be surprised to see him go first. I don't think he'll go first, but I wouldn't be surprised.
So you see, I got outside linebacker / D end, and it's getting harder and harder to categorize these guys, coach. But do you have any problem with how I label them? Would you switch even the D end outside linebacker? Does it even matter? Like, what are your thoughts on that, coach?
I do it the same way. If you're outside linebacker, I call it outside linebacker and edge. Same guy. That's same traits to me. And you probably line up in a different technique, and maybe outside linebacker maybe asked to drop more to the defensive end. But it's for scouting purposes, I try to keep it simple. And outside linebacker, defensive end is kind of the same to me. Like which I would have the same thing for Hutchinson and for other guys you got like Ojabo and stuff like that. Outside defensive ends for me. When I do that thing next week, those are the categories they'll be together.
Awesome, man. I'm looking forward
down with the D line.
I'm looking forward to that. So, is there anybody in that light green, purple, orange area that's been sticking out to you? Maybe I got them too low. Maybe I got them too high. Who's been sticking out to you else on the board that you've been thinking about or studying lately, coach?
And let's start with the purple.
Okay.
George Pickens. I'm real high on George Pickens. I love his nastiness. I saw him work like with my own 2 eyes as a junior about to be a senior. Florida State had a elite prospect camp. So they had like everybody that they really wanted to be on their team. Like Sam Howell was there. Other guys were there. Everybody they really wanted was at that camp. So it was the best of the best. And, Florida State with the national brand, they brought in some heavy hitters. Nobody could hold a candle to Pickens.
Really?
A healthy George Pickens is probably should be in that green. A healthy George Pickens.
Okay.
In my eyes, the only reason he's not listed or maybe ranked as a top guy is because of the injuries. But a healthy George Pickens, did you see what he did to Dax Hill?
Yes, and I love Dax Hill.
/ corner from Michigan.
And I love Dax Hill too.
Told the sideline, shut up. Smashed Dax Hill. Look what I told y'all to shut up. And then went on about to play. That's kind of animal I want on my team. And he don't mind blocking. He do not mind blocking, which to play for the Ravens, you got to block. That's he attacks blocking like he attacks his routes, and I love him for that. I love guys that do that. And when I was calling plays, if we had a kid that didn't block, I'm gonna find a way to get him off the field. I don't care if you ran a 3-9. If you don't block, you can't stay out there. That's selfish. And he loves block.
No block, no rock, right, coach? Can I safely quote that?
That's it. That's it. No block, no rock.
So with Pickens blocking, man, I gotta bring it up. I think you undersold him a little bit. He enjoys that. He enjoys the physicality of the game, old school mentality. If he's gonna block you and he can catch you half stepping, he's gonna make you pay for that. Like you if you're guarding George Pickens, you better have your head in the game and not think you're just going to take this rep off because it's a run play away from you. And I'm just going to lollygag and go through the motions, have some kind of gentleman's agreement. Pickens don't do gentleman's agreements out there on the field, which I love. And then the injury part, like it actually comes as a positive to me, coach. And I'll tell you why. He tore his, I want to say tore his ACL. Maybe it was Achilles. Maybe you can help me out with that. But it was spring practice.
It was serious. I don't remember which one it was.
It was a serious injury in spring practice. Most prospects like him would have mailed it in, been like, look, man, I'm just going to prepare for the draft. He came back in whatever it was, 8-9 months and played for Georgia during their championship run. And let's face it, Coach, guys are going to get hurt. Guys are going to get even banged up. Let's not even talk about serious injury. Guys are going to have to play through pain. And when I see that type of mentality from a player, that's something intangible, if you want to call it, a mentality that's not just, he's not just trying to embarrass somebody. He really cares, dude. Like, right. He's not like playing that way, that aggressively to show off or make a name for himself. This man loves playing football. And that's obvious from like the proof's in the pudding, him coming back from that injury.
Yeah. And you said exactly what I was kind of waiting till you finished, but you said my statement. He loved the game. You can tell he loves to play football, and that's a guy that I would want on my team any day of the week. And I was scrolling through my Twitter feed looking for a picture, and I found I guess a gift that I posted of George Pickens doing that to somebody else too. I think it was Auburn. Same thing he did to Dax Hill, but I think it was Auburn. I have to go back through it later on and see if I can find it. But so that wasn't the first time he did it.
You want those players on your team, and me being a Ravens fan, maybe I'm biased towards this, Coach, but we like to draft big guys. We like to draft players with a mean streak. It's something, quite honestly, that I haven't seen to that old school Ravens levels the last few years. I don't want to knock the players and call them nice guys or choir boys or some of the other negative terms you hear from the fans. I don't think it's like that. But there's a difference between your regular type intensity and the intensity we're talking about with Aquanu and George Pickens. So I totally get it, man. I totally get it. So what about Jahan Dotson? Have you got a chance to watch him at all? Because I got him and Pickens pretty close on my board. And I love the fact that Jahan Dotson has those I call them arrogant hands, Coach. Like wherever it is, he's going to get it. And I think he can handle himself on the inside or outside. I like the versatility in his game. And I don't know what come draft time where I'm going to have Pickens and Dotson. Like they're that close on my board as far as like, man, I don't know who I would take if they were both there. So I'd like to get your thoughts on Jahan if you've watched him.
So I was watching film on other people. I did a film with Rasheed Walker, I think. That's the tackle from Penn State. And then I was doing tape versus with Ojabo and Hutchins and somebody else that played Penn State. And he kept like jumping out to me. And so I finally sat down. I did a poll last week, and I had Dotson, Drake London, and Burks. And everybody picked London, but I was hoping they picked Dotson. So I ended up doing Dotson, I think, Monday. Today's Wednesday. I think I did Dotson Monday. I love the kid. Love him. His hands, he's a hands catcher. For a small guy, you don't see that a lot. He's probably the best route runner in this draft. Probably, as far as being able to get in and out his breaks, smooth transition, come back down the stem, work the middle, work outside, do your gadget stuff. If you want to put on jet sweep, he can do it all. The only knock on him for me is obviously his size, and that we as Ravens fans have guys that size already. If we didn't have a Hollywood, a Duvernay, Tylen Wallace, Prochet, I could see us maybe trying to get Dotson, but we got that body already, and we really can't use it. But for somebody's gonna get a playmaker.
Gotcha. Then that's why I have Drake London at the top of my wide receiver board, Coach. It's nothing against Garrett Wilson. It's nothing against Olave. I talked to Skeptic Goat yesterday about this. It's just that these 6'1" receivers, 190, seem to be coming out. That's like your prototype now. Route runners, real smooth, can separate at the top of the break, all that kind of stuff. I mean, those are all great qualities. Don't get me wrong, but like the Drake London and the Pickens, to me, they're just a different. And I could even throw Jamison Williams in there for different types of reasons, but they are different than those prototypes that you see. And as a Ravens fan, and really if I was running any team, I would want to have at least one of those guys doing that at a high level, because it's just, I feel like these 6'1" route runners are going to come out every year, Coach. Every year from now on. They're wide receivers now. Back in our day, you put them at running back. Now they're all learning to run routes. I'm sure you're coaching guys and encourage them probably to go wide receiver route. You're like, look, man, you're a great athlete. All the money, all the needs at wide receiver. So I want to ask you a question about the top of the draft and how it relates to who goes before us. With all these great wide receivers, Coach, like the Dotsons, the Pickens, whoever slides from that top group I have above them. I'm a Sky Moore stan. He's my favorite at the position. But basically what I'm asking is, with all these guys that are going to be available at the top of round 2, do you see these teams in the first round ahead of us saying, nah, I'm not going to take London, I'm not going to take Garrett Wilson because in round 2 there's going to be a Pickens or a Dotson? Like, will that work? Could you see that working against the Ravens as far as no receivers going before us because those teams think they can get them, or at least one of those guys, in the early second?
You know, I didn't think about it, but because the receiver position is really being flooded in the NFL right now, that's a legit theory. They can jump on because it's O-line, D-line up front heavy this season, so I can see that really happening, and then just be a ton of good receivers in round 2. You know, all your big pillars of your offense and defense could go early, and then second, late first, early second, you can have a run on receivers because there's a plethora of guys, out there.
Yeah, that's kind of how I'm nervous, but not nervous, but from a Ravens fan perspective, I would like to see a receiver or two taken before us, just to bump back some of these edge rushers or corners. Jermaine Johnson, I noticed that you kind of omitted him when we talked about the top 10. Is there something about him that bothers you, or just maybe not bothers you, but just causes you pause about taking him that early? Because I see him as like one of the guys that's constantly dropping to us in these mocks at 14. The Ravens take Jermaine Johnson. And, for me, if you look at my board, I got him as one of those guys that I couldn't pass on. I got him up there in the category with some of the bigger name prospects on this board. So give me your report on Jermaine Johnson, sir, if you don't mind.
Okay. So if you look at the guys in green, and for those that can't see, I'll kind of run the name real quick. Kwanu, Thibodeau, Neal, Walker, Hutchinson, Gardner, Cross, Hamilton, and Stinky. And I didn't say Johnson. That top 10 at some point in their career dominated like over the course of maybe at least a 5-game span. I really can't find but 2 games where he was like really good, and then 1 game where he just went nuts. And unfortunately, he went nuts versus my Canes, but that's the game that he went crazy. And he had good games versus Wake. He had good games versus I forget the other team, and I omitted him not as trying to like throw shade on him. I don't think he's in that top 3, and I don't know how he'll fit. Because you got to think about it. He was on that Georgia team last year.
Yes, sir.
So why, I don't know why he left. So I don't want to speculate, but I also wonder why he left. Now, the situation worked out great for him. He left there and went to Florida State, was a starter, and was their best defensive player. So he's not a bad prospect, and I didn't shade him because I don't like him. I just don't think he's top 3. But as far as the edge guys, he's definitely the 4th one.
So you would take him. You would definitely consider him at 14 then.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be mad. No, I wouldn't be mad if we picked him. So it wouldn't be like I was when we picked last year. I wouldn't be mad like I was when we picked Dobbins the year before that. So I guess I might better be mad because them 2 guys turned out pretty good.
Yeah, I was going to say, well, hey, maybe we can stop, keep that trend going. But Coach, there's another guy I really wanted to talk to you about specifically because you know more about the X's and O's than I do. I keep up with it, but I'm a scout at heart, and that's really what I do. But Devante Wyatt, I know you've spent a lot of time on these Georgia guys. So I want to really, I'm loving the fact that I have you on to ask him. Now, Devante Wyatt, of course, was kind of a beneficiary to having Jordan Davis next to him because he was one-on-one with a lot of these right guards, and his athleticism just showed. There's not a ton of production from Devante Wyatt, so he's one of my favorite guys. And the reason I see him thriving on this Ravens team, if we were to get him, is because the Ravens like to have their own Jordan Davis on their team. Your Michael Pierces, your Brandon Williams, your guys that command that double team. So if I look at Devante Wyatt, I put him on the Ravens. I put him at 3-tech. I got a big guy next to him. Devante Wyatt is one-on-one against the right guards, like we see a lot in today's NFL. That's the position. You want a good right guard. You want a good 3-tech. I think Wyatt's just too darn quick for these edge rushers, and I could see him having like a, I don't know, like a Geno Atkins type, just a different type of player, but that kind of impact player at 3 tech. How high am I on Wyatt? Am I too high? Where would you put him on your board? How do you give me your Devante Wyatt, please?
I like where you have him. I think he's extremely versatile. I think he's a 3 tech in either system, whether it be 3-4 or 4-3. And I think, like you said, him up going against guards, mismatch. And he's not just a run stuffer guy. He can get after the QB. And you really can say, like you opened the statement about having Jordan Davis, you really can say that about all those guys. They all probably benefited from each other in a certain way. Because you take one of those guys and put them on somebody else, they're probably getting double. Take Jordan Davis, he's getting double. He got doubled anyway. But you take Wyatt and put him on Mississippi State, he's probably getting double. You take in Nakobe Dean and put him on Ole Miss, he's probably gonna be the focus of that. If you pick one of those guys off that front, I'm gonna say 8. That front 8, because they still got a stud left, and put them somewhere else, they're gonna be the focal point. So I think they all 8 off of each other. I think the only one that would have had the same situation no matter where he'd been will be Davis.
Right. Yeah, you can't. There's no way around that, and that he's going to get that same treatment on the NFL level. So, Coach, if it takes you, take a second if you want. If you look at my board, I'm going to bring it back up there on the screen. And is there anybody that sticks out to you in any section, man? It could be the orange, the purple, the blue, whatever, that you think I'm off on. Like, I would like to get a disagreement here, or maybe have you educate me on something that I missed. Again, if you need to take a minute, I will edit that out later. But who do you dislike more than me, Coach?
I see you have Tyndall as a day 3 pick, the other linebacker from Georgia. I think his skill set for the NFL game, with the way that the quick passing game is coming in, I don't think you can wait that long on that guy. He's a 4-4 guy. He's a high 4-4, 4-5 guy that can play, that can guard tight ends, and probably can hang with not the elite running backs out the backfield, but can run with those guys. And he's a great blitzer. I think Tyndall's a day 2 guy. I do. I don't think he's, because if I'm reading it right, the light blue means day 3, right? I think light
blue. I have is like day 3 value.
I think he's a second round guy. I love his skill set. I love his speed. And since we were just talking about those guys benefiting from each other, he could be the one guy that benefits the most from having those other guys around him. Because he probably is the 6th or 7th guy the coaches thought about, if they think about him at all. And he just ran around and made plays.
Right. I mean, it was hard for him to get on the field with Dean and Walker ahead of him. And it took me a while. You talked about players that stood out to you and just splashed when you weren't even watching them. That's what Tyndall was to me. And I genuinely like those players. When I'm not watching them, and yet my eyes keep getting drawn to them when they're on the field, I'm like, who the heck is this guy? Mm-hmm. Those are the guys that I found over the years, Coach, that translate the best, where it's just like something intangible inside my brain. Then I'm not, I'm like, man, he shouldn't have been there for that play. Or, wow, how did he make that play? I wasn't even expecting that. And that's what I see on Tyndall. I like that, man. Anybody else you think I got too low or too high?
That was Dotson for me. The way you just explained it for Tyndall, that was Dotson for me. Anybody else? Let's see. Let me look at him O-line, because I'm looking for somebody. Where is he? Where's Trevor Penning?
I got him at the end of that green, Coach, because if I'm being honest with myself.
Okay, I'm sorry. I don't have the whole. I can't see the whole thing.
Okay, so I'm gonna give you my why I have him on the board while you're pulling your stuff up there, Coach. So I got Penning at 24. If you notice, he is the last name in that light green as far as people I think that are going to go in the first round. And the reason for that is, Coach, is I'm kind of being a little disingenuous with that, because honestly, I'd have him lower, but I keep seeing him mocked to the Ravens, mocked in the top 10. So I'm not trying to make a list here that's too quote unquote crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to have Penning in the 40s and be like, what the heck is this guy? I'm turning off the channel, that kind of thing. So I'm not high on Penning. I think obviously he has the upside, but I'm not in love with his feet, and I'm not in love with all the penalties that he was getting. It wasn't just personal foul, like boneheaded type stuff. were unnecessary. You know what I mean? It was holding, and I think he's got a lot of work to do. And I think we saw some of that at the Senior Bowl too, Coach. So go ahead and give it to me on Penning.
He's a guard.
Really?
Yeah. He can play tackle. He's probably going to be an okay tackle. I think he can be probably one of the best guards that ever played the game, though.
Really? Okay.
Because of once his size will hurt him a little bit, but if he can learn to leverage guys with his size, I think he'll be an excellent guard. I think him at tackle, he's not good at space. He's a lumberer. Him and Balele are lumberers. And if they get their hands on you, they can do that. But that stuff he was doing in the Senior Bowl, like Myles Garrett tweeted, okay, keep trying it. You know, them guys are just as strong and fast. You're not gonna be able to torque guys like that. So I think he's probably gonna play tackle. They're gonna give him out because of his size. But I think if somebody has the balls to kick him inside and let him play guard, I think once he figure out the initial leverage thing with those guys, he'll punish them.
Okay.
Especially if you have another guy that remember before Yonder retired, Yonder rarely pulled. Yonder was the down blocker, and we had Bozeman doing all the pulling. You could stick Penning at a spot like that with another guy that you're gonna do most of your pulling with, and Penning can have an all-pro career. You just think about him down blocking one techniques, or combo on with the center to maybe the backside linebacker. What backside linebacker gonna run through him at that size? So
yeah, no.
I think he's I think he'll be a great guard, but I don't know if anybody's gonna have the balls to kick him inside and put him there.
Yeah, that's you're one of the first people I've heard say he could be a dominant guard, because I wasn't even considering it, Coach, honestly, because of his frame is like exactly what you want for a tackle. Like we talked about with Neil, you want him that height, you want him that long, you want him to look. Your best tackles that ever existed kind of look or built like Penning. You know what I mean? So I wasn't really even thinking about him at guard, but now that you mention that, yeah, I can see him down blocking. I can see him coming up on that backside linebacker. And like you said, I don't think they're going to run through him. But the thing that we agree on is his feet. Lumberer is what you called him. I didn't see it even like when people knock on, highlights. Oh, well, highlights make you look good and make everybody look good. But I don't know about you, Coach, but I can pick out negatives from somebody's highlights. And with Trevor Penning, when I saw some of these quote unquote highlights, I'm like, man, his feet he just looks a little slow, a little heavy footed. And, somebody that burns the edge is really going to give him problems. And we saw that during the one-on-one drills, which obviously aren't designed for offensive linemen. Let's face it. Like that's a time for you to show off as a defensive lineman. But man, I just see the qualities in Penning that are holding me back. And if I had any kind of stones, Coach, I'd drop him to the purple section below guys like Quay Walker, Pickens, Gordon, guys that I really, really love and think that they have a high ceiling. But the dominant guard, man, I love it. Anything else that you have on Penning?
No, I pretty much gave you what I got on him. I just think he's a guard. One guy I think should be higher, and I always mess his name up. Salyer, however you say it.
Yes, sir.
The tackle from Georgia. I really like his tape. I like how he handled Hutchinson in that game. And initially, if you watching the game with the naked eye, when it came on, it looked like Salyer. Because I know my whole video I called him Salyer. However you say his name. It looked like he dominated Hutchinson. But going back at it, they went back and forth. And he did a great job, probably the best job all season of anybody, playing Hutchinson. And and he's played every position on that line. So you do have him as guard tackle. He's played every position on Georgia's line, and I really like him. Somebody probably gonna pick him as a tackle, but he can play every position. He can be your right tackle. He can be either one of your guards. I think he can play a little center for you too in a worst case scenario.
I like him. I do. It's just a lot of good players, man. I was saying, Coach, that 69 players that I have in that orange section is pretty high, man. Like usually I'm struggling to get to 50 guys that I really, really want. What about, you mentioned Rasheed Walker, the tackle. You see, I got them 2 stars next to him, Coach. that means he's my positional favorite, as in I like him more than what I see other people like him.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about Walker? You just said that, or you said a while ago that you took a close look at him. So give me
I
your
did.
scouting report. Yes, sir.
Walker, I think this is what I said about Walker versus, and I used the Michigan thing because that was probably one of the best competition they played. Versus Hutchinson, Hutchinson won most of those battles. And then Walker had a couple situations where he had a missed assignment, which you can't have in the NFL. So, but as far as actual engagement with Hutchinson, I would say Hutchinson won 70 to 80% of those. Versus Ojabo, 50-50. Back and forth, 50-50. He did his thing versus Ojabo. Ojabo got him sometimes. They had a battle. When they were out the game and the backups were in, he crushed them. He crushed their backups. So for me, with Walker, I think it's just consistency. I think, and a lot of guys, when they know they got to face Hutchinson, and Hutchinson has been projected the number one pick for a long time. So now you're getting, okay, I got to do Hutchinson all week. And you kind of really get a sense of not scared, but you kind of nervous about it. And then, Ojabo is not as good as Hutchinson. So he kind of did his thing versus when he got regular guys in there, he dominated those cats. So to me, for him, it's confidence and consistency for him. I really like him, and he could end up being the best tackle in this class. Could.
Wow, that's saying something.
When that contract, them 4 years or whatever, them contracts come up, 5-6 years from down the line, he could be probably the best tackle in this draft because he's still so raw, but still was able to give Penn State what they needed.
Beautiful. We're on the same page with that because that's why he's my favorite. I think that, when people are projecting him at pick 90, pick 80, there's just no way to me that he should go that low because like you said, the upside, I don't know if he can be the best tackle in that class. That's a real strong take, but he's definitely got that in him as far as his just movement skills and things that you look at as a scout. He's what you want. And I think that his upside, you get him with Joe D or any other offensive line coach, and I think leaps and bounds he is going to grow. So, Coach, man, there's one other guy that, man, I love having you here because I can take advantage of having you here and ask you about all kinds of different stuff and not be so on script. You know what I mean? So we're for y'all watching at home, we didn't prepare any of this. I just know that Coach knows his stuff and we can jump around. So, Ojabo, Coach, I have no idea where in the hell to put him on my big board. Because, I guess you got to assume he's just not going to be ready for year one. But then there comes the argument, hey, man, if we take him at like 32, if we find a way to manipulate our board and we got him for 5 years, then he could really be a superstar by year 3, year 4. Coach, where do you think he should go? I mean, you can use my board as a jumping off point or whatever you think. I want to know, like, how does this injury affect where he should be drafted?
It's crazy that you have him kind of in that area because before he got hurt, I had him in the top 15. I had him potentially us picking him at 14.
Me too.
But after the injury, I think he's a second round guy because he's a project because he got hurt so late in the not season but in the process. He got hurt so late in the process that he may not be ready until October, November, December. So you picking a project guy with the first pick, I don't think you want to do that. I think you want your first rounders to give you some kind of impact right now, unless it's probably a quarterback. You want to give you some kind of impact. So I think the injury kills his first round potential. I think he could eventually bounce back and be a good player. I think the injury killed his first round potential.
How about 45, Coach? The Ravens sitting there at 45. They don't trade for some reason, and Ajabo's there. And at that point, Coach, say we're only addressed one other hole on the team. Would you be willing to take, with all the other needs the Ravens have, would you be willing to take Ojabo at 45 and just try to manipulate and fill in your other holes later? Or you say, hey, man, forget about all that. I'm going to pick myself a Pickens or a Quay Walker or Elam or whoever you'd like in that spot ahead of Ojabo.
It really depends on that first pick. If that first pick happened to be Charles Cross, I'm cool with that with the second pick. If that first pick is, if we go defense with that first pick, I'm really hoping we go offense with the second.
Okay.
We can't have the situation we were in last year at the offensive line position. We can't. And to wait till the third or fourth to get offensive lineman, to me, is insulting to the quarterback.
Yes.
And the running backs. So if we go defense at 14, 45 to me has to be an offensive guy. And if we go offense early, if we go offense in the first round, whether it be receiving the first round or whatever, then I'm cool with Ojabo or whoever, with that second pick. With that second round pick.
I love it. I love it. So there you go, Coach Evans on the show finally. Coach, man, we're both so busy, and then of course you actually get to work with the young men, which I'm jealous about. And you have, man, you're really a treasure for us around the Ravens community. I'm sure you see the respect and the love that you get, man. And Coach Evans' name comes up a lot when I'm talking to other people. Well, Coach Evans was talking about this. Coach Evans seen that, saw that. So I hope you feel that love, Coach, because we,
I appreciate it.
Us in the Ravens community, you never know how people talk. When you're not around, and believe me, man, it's all like just genuine love for Coach Evans. So I really thank you for being on the program. And with this last couple of minutes, Coach, just any kind of final thoughts that you can give me to wrap up the show, bro.
I have two. Actually, I have three draft crushes that I would love to see in a Ravens uniform. One is I want to destroy his name because you always want local talent around. And even though I'm not from Baltimore, I really would love to see the tight end from Maryland on the team. I think he could be a third tight end and do some H-back type stuff for us, and be a check down guy that can get you 30, 40 yards because he runs a 4.44 5. Other cat is Woods from Virginia, another tight end.
Woo.
You see the theme kind of. I love Woods, even though him and Westcott, they're two different guys that I feel could fit as the number 3 tight end for us. And the cornerback from UTSA. I was a huge fan of Westery, and I think Woolen could come in and probably be better than Westery. I really love Woolen. That speed, that size, man, he just don't realize how blessed he is to be able to run at that height. And I hope Westery figured out too.
Yeah, Westry's got enough tools. He's gonna be in this league for as long as his body and mind allows him to. And yeah, Woolen, he's a guy I can't fade anymore, Coach. Like I keep hearing people tell me I got him too high, but I don't want to hear all that mess. Like you just get him in and you mold him. I don't care where he played at in college. Those skills are just rare. Love him and Marcus Jones, by the way. I could see Marcus Jones being our version of Tavon with all them ball skills, and of course being a Dante Hall level upside as a returner, Devin Hester level. I mean, returns kind of go away from the game. They're trying to, with safety and all that, but Marcus Jones is that great. So, Coach, I thank you so much for your time. I can't wait to actually work with you on draft day. Shoot the thoughts back and forth on Ken McCusic's show. Please follow all of Coach's work. Do yourself a favor, check out a video or two when you get the time, and you'll love Coach as much as the rest of us. So at this time, I'd like to say thank you to my football family. Love my football family. Coach, say goodbye to people now.
I appreciate it. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you chose to be here with us.
That's right. Thank you, Coach.